Hello, young artist. This is Kier with your lesson for today. Today, we're going to do some review on our recognizing major and minor, as well as diminished chords. We're going to do some review on intervals. And we're going to add a little sight reading to our lesson today. For this, you'll need your couple of worksheets, copy of the scale, the C major scale, and also page 3 of the workbook that I sent on sight reading. All right, let's get started. Let's get started with our intervals. And I want you to sing with me, just with numbers. You can repeat after me. We'll start with this, with 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 6, 1, 7, 1, 8. I need you to recognize the intervals. The intervals are the space between the two notes. This would be a second, would be a third, 1, 3. This would be a fifth, 1, 5, 1, 7, that's the seventh, and the octave is the eighth, so that's what they call an octave. Okay, now with the video being away from the piano, I'm going to play some intervals and I want to see if you recognize them. Here it is again. Can you guess what that is? Yes, it's the fifth. If you said it's the fifth, then you're right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 5. Very good. I'll do another one. Here it is again. It is the third. 1, 2, 3, 1, 3. So it is the third. Couple more. Here we go. That would be the sixth, because it's 1, 6. All right. Now, what happens when I change the 1? I'm going to change the 1. It will no longer be this note. I'm going to change it to another note. But you still ought to be able to find the intervals. Let's start here. So if I go, you ought to be able to hear that that's the fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 5. Okay, so hopefully you'll listen to this and we'll get a better understanding of intervals. Now I want to move to recognizing our chords. Recognizing major. 1, 3, 5. recognizing minor where we flat the 3. And then I'm going to add one more for you. I'm going to add diminished. Diminished is when you flat the 3 and you flat the 5. So it sounds like this. More simplified, you can say major, it's a happy tone. Minor, it's a sad tone. Diminished is the scary tone. Okay? So now, again, with the video pointed away from the chords or away from my hand, let's see if you can recognize the type of chord I'm playing. What is that? Is it happy, scary, or sad? Is it major, minor, or diminished? Yes, it's major. Major. 1, 3, 5 intact. All right, let's try this one. One more time. If you said this was diminished, then you are correct. All right, let's try another one. That's minor. If you said minor, you're right. Let's do another. Yes, that would be a diminished. Very good. And that would be major. Okay. Okay, very good. Okay. Now I'm going to take a step back and talk about something I should have talked about at first, which is learning whole steps and half steps. Now, just looking at the piano, you can tell from one white key to the next, if there with a black key in the middle, then you would call that a whole step, because this will be a half step. You're moving in half steps. Now moving in whole steps. So from here to here is a whole step. From here to here is a half step. There's no black key in the middle of it. Listen to it. Let your ear guide you. So that's a half step. From here to here would be a whole step, because you got a note in between it. That's a whole step. From here to here is a half step. Right. And that's just like from here to here is a half step. I'll play some more half steps just so you can get familiar with hearing them. If I do a C scale with all whole steps, it would sound like this. Oh, excuse me. That's all whole steps. Using all half steps, it sounds like this. Major scale is made up of whole steps and half steps. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Okay? For the minor scale would be whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. So, just using your ear with the video away from my hand, identify whether it's a half step or a whole step. Ready? Moved in a half step. Very good, very good. Yeah, okay. One more time. Whole step. Very good. One more. Let's do a couple more actually. Here we go. Half step. No key in between. Half step. Whole step. There you go. Okay, very good. To look at it in notation, I'm going to try to put this up here. I don't know if you can see this or not, but there we are. To see it, you see it starts at C, which is middle C, goes up a whole step to D, and a whole step to E, but between E and F is a half step. And then G, that's a whole step, and then moving up to A is a whole step. Moving up to B is a whole step. But between B and C is a half step. So I'm hoping that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, then you make sure you contact us back saying that you don't understand it, and we'll try to explain it a little further. Okay, so now we want to go off of this, and I want to get into the sight reading. Let's see. Hopefully I'm able to open this so you can see it. You should already have this. This was sent to you before, so you should already have this. But I'm going to show this to you on here. And I'm hoping you can see it. Anyway, talk a few things. Let's look at exercise 1. I'm going to talk about a few things. I want to talk about the beginning of the staff. And the staff is the 5 lines of 4 space. The 5 lines and 4 spaces that all the music is written on. But on this first staff, you see this thing that looks like a fancy S. And we have identified that as the treble clef or the G clef. It's called a treble clef. Sometimes they call it a G clef because of the way it curls around the G line. This would be the G line. Okay? And in case you don't know the names of the lines and spaces, you know the first line is E, G, B, D, and F. Every good boy does fine. And the spaces are F-A-C-E, spelling out the word face, F-A-C-E. The ledger line below the staff is where middle C sits. So this first note that we get to is middle C. Okay? But we skipped a thing. I want to go back to these two numbers. Those two numbers are the meter signature or time signature. It helps you keep the time of the piece that you are singing or playing. You have a top number and a bottom number. In this case, the top number is 4 and the bottom number is 4. And it's referred to as 4/4 time, or what they call common time, because this is the most common time in most songs. The top 4 tells you that there are 4 beats in each measure. The bottom 4 tells you that the quarter note receives 1 beat. And if we look at the entire piece, if we look at the piece, if you can look in each measure, and the measure is this area before you get to the first bar line. That's the bar line. It separates the staffs and the measures. And if you look, we have 4 quarter notes, then the bar line. So that's showing you that each quarter note gets 1 beat, and there are 4, so that's 4 beats, and then you go to the next measure, which also has 4 beats, and then you go to the next measure, which has a whole note, and a whole note receives 4 beats, and we learned that in the last recording. We talked about this. And then the exercise or the song ends by the double bar line. That's how you know it's the end. Okay, so knowing this, we try to read this on la. And we know that you're starting with middle C. And you know that we move after the first move, the second and third notes in this measure are the same. So the first 3 notes you're going to sing are going to be the same. And then it goes up to D, which is a whole step. I mean, we talked about whole steps and half steps. And starting to the next measure, it goes back down to middle C 3 times again. Then it goes down to B, which is a half step, and then back up to middle C again. I'm not going to play the whole thing for you because I'll tell you what, I will play the first one. But as you go on to exercise 2, 3, and 4, I'm not going to play them for you because I want you to try to read them on your own. But the first one would sound like this. And you can sing them using numbers, or you can sing them using just on la or any syllable. But you'd start it, you count it off 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I would like to hear you try number 2, 3, and 4 on your own. And by the way, first stages, and I don't remember really having any basses in first stage, but you can all read the top line, which is the treble clef. Now that bottom line is the bass clef, and that's something that we're going to get into later in another lesson, although we have already touched on it, but we're going to get deeper into it. in another lesson. So I hope you guys take a listen to this, and I hope that you have all the materials you need for it, and I hope that you all are staying safe and staying healthy. I will be back with more lessons, and I hope to see you one day soon. Goodbye. Have a blessed day.